Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to do our bowl game predictions for the 2025-2026 season. And this bowl predictions have been, it's going to be a bit of a mess. Seeing teams that have opted out, and yeah, there's going to be several 5-win teams. But before we do begin, I do want to say this video will not feature any of the college football playoff predictions, as that's going to be its own video. So without further ado, let's jump right in. And I know this is not a bowl game, but I do like making predictions for this. And another thing, I won't be going fully in depth with some of these teams cuz I don't know where they stand. I'm just going to pick who I think is going to win out of fun. This is, as again, the whole purpose of this channel. It's just for fun. So, let's just jump right into the Army Navy game, where the Navy midshipmen will be taking on the Army Black Knights, and this game will be played in Baltimore, Maryland. A game where passing is optional. And they got Navy favored in this one. I'm going to go ahead and take the Navy to win this game. And next up we have South Carolina State taking on Prairie View A&M. And I'm just going to make a blind guess. I could not find a spread for this game, but I don't think that's going to matter. I'm just going to roll Prairie View to win this game. Heisman Trophy race. We have Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt, and Julian Sayin from The Ohio State University. And in this one, I think the Heisman race, even though I think this is one of the weaker classes in recent memory, I think it's down to two people, Diego Pavia and Fernando Mendoza. But for me, Fernando Mendoza had a lot of Heisman moments in some of the most meaningful games of the season. The Penn State game and the Ohio State game comes to mind. I think he should win the Heisman pretty easily, and there should be no debate about it. Next we have is the Boise State Broncos taking on the Washington Huskies in the Los Angeles Bowl. And I'm just going to roll with Washington to win this game. Even though Boise State is once again the champions of the Mountain West, I don't think I do think they stand a chance in this one. But I'm just going to roll with the favorite team in this situation. And then we got the Troy Trojans taking on the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. And Troy's actually favored in this one. It's kind of surprising, given that the last time we saw this school, they got blown out by, I think, James Madison. But this is the Salute to Veterans Bowl. And I'm actually going to go with Jacksonville State to win. Because bowl play, you always see sometimes the least expected teams win bowl games. And now we got the Old Dominion Lions taking on the South Bulls of South Florida. And that will be in the Cure Bowl. And they moved locations. Usually they play in the home of Central Florida, but now they moved to the Camping World Stadium in Orlando, which that means that stadium will have 3 bowl games this season. And I'm going to take South Florida to win this game because they have actually had a good season. Unfortunately, they did not do well enough to get into that group of 5 spot, but I've been impressed with what I saw from South Florida this season. Also, Old Dominion, I got to keep my eye on that school because you never know. And then we got the Louisiana Raging Cajuns taking on Delaware, the Joe Flacco University. This is the 68 Ventures Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. And I know Louisiana's favorite. I'm actually going to go with Delaware to win this one. As again, I'm going for the chaos. And then we got a new bowl game. First of all, we got the Arkansas State Red Wolves taking on the Missouri State Bears or Grizzlies. And this is the Xbox Bowl being played in the practice facility for the Dallas Cowboys. This game is replacing the Bahamas Bowl that has because I know last year they played in Charlotte, in like the University of Charlotte Stadium, but now they fully scrapped that bowl altogether. And in this one, I'm gonna, again, since I don't know much about either team, and this is more for fun anyway, I'm gonna roll with Arkansas State to win this game. Then we got Kennesaw State taking on Western Michigan. Western Michigan winning their conference in the Mid Atlantic, and Kennesaw State also won their conference. I can't remember what conference they're in. Someone hopefully it'll probably come back to me once this video ends, like it always does. They'll be playing in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And looking at this game, I'm just gonna roll with Western Michigan to win. But I do think Kennesaw State is gonna put up a good battle. And then we got the Memphis Tigers taking on the North Carolina State Wolfpack in the Gasparilla Bowl. And Memphis, they're a team that have blown their group of 5 chances. And even though they tried to join a conference, they always find a way to be unsuccessful at it. Meanwhile, NC State ended the season a little better than what they it was a typical NC State season. They started off fast, mid-season slump, win a couple games at the end of the season to get the bowl eligibility. Dave Doeren doesn't get fired. Nobody wins. But looking at this matchup, I think this might be another one that could go in any direction. And while I am tempted to take Memphis to win, I'm gonna roll with the Wolfpack to take it. But I will not be surprised if Memphis could get the win. Then we got Utah State taking on Washington State Cougars. This will be the Idaho Potato Bowl being played in Boise State. And for this one, I'm just going to roll with Utah State to win. I don't know much about either team, except the Wazoo flag is always making an appearance on College Game Day. That's pretty much all I know. And then we got the Louisville Cardinals taking on the Toledo Rockets. And this is the Boca Raton Bowl. Going to be played at the University of FAU. And I'm actually going to roll with Louisville to win this game. No disrespect, Toledo. And now we got the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers taking on the Southern Mississippi Golden Eagles. This will be the New Orleans Bowl. And I'm just going to roll with Western Kentucky to win this game. They're favored for a reason. Now we have UNLV taking on the Ohio Bobcats. This will be the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl being played in Frisco, Texas. And UNLV once again losing the Mountain West Conference Championship. That's all I know. And as for Ohio, one of their big highlights I remember was them beating West Virginia this early this season. So looking at this game, I'm gonna go ahead and pick UNLV to win this one. I actually do think they are the better team. And now we have California Bears taking on the Hawaii Golden Rainbows, and this will be the Hawaii Bowl. Hawaii is looking to go 2-0 against ACC opponents. If you don't remember, they beat Stanford week 1 of the season. Cal is coming off of its biggest win of the season, beating SMU, preventing them to go to the ACC title game. And if I was Duke, I'll hand them the trophy for doing that. But in this matchup, I am going to take California to win. But I do think Hawaii is going to give us a good battle on Christmas Eve. Now we have the Central Michigan. I forgot what kind of team they are. Taking on the Northwestern Wildcats. This will be the Game Above Sports Bowl. I think this used to be called the Quick Lane Bowl. And before that, it was the Little Caesars Bowl. And in this matchup, yeah, Northwestern, I think they should dominate this one. I think they're going to win this game. And then we got the New Mexico Lobos taking on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And this is the Rate Bowl being played in Chase Field of Arizona. This game, alright, I'm not going to analyze it. Because I don't know much of New Mexico, other than they used to have Diego Pavia as their quarterback. In Minnesota, they did the thing. They went 7-5 again. What else is new? And I do think Minnesota's going to win this game. And that leads us right into the First Responders Bowl, where the UTSA Roadrunners will be taking on the FIU Panthers. In this one, In this game, I am going to take UTSA to win. I mean, they're 8-point favorites for a reason. And that leads us right into the Military Bowl, where the Pitt Panthers will be taking on the East Carolina Pirates. And both of these teams actually had kept it a longer fight than expected for a possible college football playoff berth. East Carolina at one point was winning a lot of games, but they did lose. That kept them out of it. And then Pitt, they lost. They got blown out by contenders in Notre Dame and Miami towards the end of the season, but they beat Georgia Tech. But Military Bowl, East Carolina. Remember, East Carolina played in this game last year, beat NC State, their in-state rivals, and it was pretty ugly at the end in more ways than one. But they're not taking on State, they're taking on Pitt. I'm actually going to roll with Pitt to win this game. Watch Pitt loses, because every time I pick Pitt to win anything, they find a way to lose. And now we got the Pinstripe Bowl, where the Penn State Nittany Lions will be taking on the Clemson Tigers. And what will be Cade Klubnik's final game being played as a college football player. Penn State had to rally up. They start off 3-6. Looked like a bowl play wasn't in their cards, but they rattled off 3 straight wins to get to where they're at right now. Clemson, okay, they kind of ended the season on a bit of a high note for them. And looking at this game, I do think it's going to be a very close battle, but I am going to take Clemson to get the win. I just hope Dabo next season uses the portal a little more. And now we got the UConn Huskies taking on the Army Black Knights. Second time we mentioned an Army in this video. They'll be playing in the Fenway Bowl. And in this one, I know Army's favored, but I'm actually going to lean towards UConn to win this game. I think because UConn, if I remember, they were the school that beat Duke, the ACC champion Duke. And then we got BYU taking on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And I do want to thank BYU. Yes, they lost pretty badly to Texas Tech twice, but they're not cowards and didn't back out in bowl play like some other prestigious religious school. But for Georgia Tech, its season ended on a low note. 2-game losing streak, which included losses to Pitt that got them out of the ACC title game. Then they lost to Georgia, which didn't really have that much importance. And looking at this game, I think BYU is going to take the dub, and they're going to be munching on Pop-Tarts at the end of this game. Then we got Fresno State Bulldogs taking on Miami of Ohio, and this will be the Arizona Bowl. In this game, Fresno is favored. I did pick Miami to win the MAC championship, but they end up losing. I'm going against them this time. I'm gonna take Fresno State to win. And then we got the North Texas taking on San Diego State Aztecs. This is the New Mexico Bowl. And North Texas, they had a pretty good season. And they were 1 win away from going to the college football playoff. But they ended up losing to Tulane, who are in that position where they're supposed to be. I know their head coach, he took a job, I think, with Oklahoma State. But I think North Texas is going to end this season on a high note. I'm taking them to win this game. And that leads us right into the Missouri Tigers taking on the Virginia Cavaliers. Missouri, all 8-4 is pretty much their standard. And this team always found a way to get ranked for probably to prop up Alabama in their rankings, but who knows, who cares. And they'll be taking on the Virginia Cavaliers, losers of the ACC title game. They had one job: win the ACC title, and they'll clinch a playoff berth. They couldn't even do that. And this will be the Gator Bowl. And since I'm pretty mad at Virginia right now, I'm taking Missouri to win this game. Hopefully they ground and pound them into the dirt. And then we got LSU taking on Houston in the Texas Bowl. LSU is in the Texas Bowl again. And they'll be taking on Houston. LSU last year was not a great season for them. Yes, they went 7-5, but things fell off for them, particularly on offense. Taking on Houston, where this team won a lot of games that they shouldn't. And looking at this game, and it's actually being played in Houston, it only makes sense for me to take the Cougars to win this one. And here's the situation where the bowl situation gets a little weird. Because we got the Appalachian State Mountaineers taking on Georgia Southern Eagles. Now, this game is a bit controversial because a lot of teams opted out of this bowl because, for one reason or another, App State was probably the last team to say yes. I also learned that Temple also was ready to accept this bowl, but they didn't get their bid in time. So whatever. And because Georgia State is more prepared to play this bowl game, unlike Appalachian State, I'm gonna roll with them to win this game. Then we got Coastal Carolina taking on Louisiana Tech, and this will be the Independence Bowl. And I will be rolling with Louisiana Tech to win this game. And now we got the Music City Bowl, where the Illinois Fighting Illini will be taking on the Tennessee Volunteers. Illinois, both these teams are good but not great. But for Illinois, they're definitely caught in the middle of that. They're the definition of a good but not elite team. Remember, this team was ranked in the top 10 at one point, only for them to get shellacked by Indiana. And meanwhile, Tennessee, they last time we saw them, they lost to Vanderbilt at home. I called that. And they did fire Tim Banks, their defensive coordinator, so, that's a good step forward. But because this game's being played in Nashville, Tennessee, and I know they're not favored, I'm going to roll with the Volunteers to win this game. And then we got the USC Trojans taking on the TCU Horned Frogs in the Alamo. In this game, we know USC was close. They went 9-3, but it was not enough for them to get sniffed close of a playoff berth. And TCU went 8-4. They were pretty inconsistent this year. And in this game, I'm going to roll with USC to win. I think they're going to end their season on a bit of a high note. And this leads us right into Vanderbilt taking on Iowa in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Now, remember, this bowl game used to be called the Outback Bowl. Vanderbilt had their best season probably in school history. Went 10-2 thanks to Diego Pavia and his 10,000 dogs. This will be his final game being played unless he somehow get a 7th-year waiver. He shouldn't. They'll be taking on Iowa, where it was a typical Iowa season. They went 8-4. Didn't wow anyone, but the offense, I will say, did find some gelance towards the end of the season. But given that this is Vanderbilt, and they're pretty much they're the only team in the SEC where I think no one hates them, I'm going with the Commodores to win this game. And for Diego Pavia's send-off. And that takes us right into the Sun Bowl, where the Arizona State Sun Devils will be taking on the ACC champion Duke Blue Devils. The 8-5 ACC champion Duke Blue Devils. And I'm not going to repeat myself because we all saw what they've done. I really can't take this team being good at 2 sports now. Where Arizona State, the season, they did not end the way they wanted to. And given that this is the Sun Bowl, I am going to take... I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm taking the Duke Blue Devils to win. I'm going to drink bleach right now. I probably shouldn't have said that on this video, but I just can't take Duke being good at 2 sports. Now we have Michigan taking on Texas in the Citrus Bowl. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. In Michigan, last time we saw them, they lost to Ohio State, where the offense failed to score a touchdown. Meanwhile, Texas was able to beat their rival in Texas A&M. And I know people don't like talking about it, but Arch Manning, he ended the season better than how he started. He looked comfortable. And I think expectations was what happened to him. And no, Texas, a 3-loss team does not get you in the postseason. Get over yourself. So in this matchup, okay, I know these 2 teams actually played each other last year, but this is a different Michigan team and this is a different Texas team. when they played last year. And I'm actually gonna go with Texas to win. And maybe Arch Manning, he get put something on tape for next season. I don't think he's gonna declare for the NFL draft. I think he needs one more year, and maybe we'll see what happens. But give me Texas to win. And now we got the Nebraska Cornhuskers taking on the Utah Utes in the Las Vegas Bowl. Nebraska, they started the season well, but then their quarterback Dylan Raiola broke his leg, and after that, this team has not been the same. Utah, people forget this school was like 1 or 2 spots away from the college football playoff. They were closer than what most people think. And in this game, yeah, Utah should dominate this one. I think they got the biggest spread of any bowl game this season. And yeah, Utah Utes. And now the final day of the bowl play. We have Texas State taking on Rice, and this will be the Armed Force Bowl. And Texas State is double favored by double digits. I'm just gonna roll with them. Rice, I believe, was filling in for a school that opted out. I think they were a 5-win team. And that leads us to the Navy taking on Cincinnati Bearcats in the Liberty Bowl. And I like with Cincinnati, they start off 8-1, but ever since they had College Game Day at Utah, they've lost, I think, all their games except for one since. Taking on the Navy midshipmen, I am going to roll with the Navy to win this game. And then we have the Duke's Mayo Bowl, where the Mississippi State Bulldogs will be taking on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And this is another game where it's supposed to have been a different team, but opt-outs happened. Mississippi State decided to fill in. And I know this is technically a home game for Wake Forest as it's being played in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm actually going to go with Mississippi State to win. But I do think this game could go in any direction. And the last bowl of the season that doesn't involve the playoffs, we have the Arizona Wildcats taking on the SMU Mustangs in the Holiday Bowl. Arizona 9-3, one of their best. They got back in track. And SMU, they lost. Remember, they lost to Cal last time we saw them. That prevented them from going in the ACC title game. Thank you. And because of that, I'm actually gonna roll with Arizona to win the Holiday Bowl to wrap up bowl season. And that concludes this bowl game predictions. So please tell me what you think in the comments below. Stay tuned as I have playoff predictions coming next week. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Gamble safely. And I'll see you next time.